the Eagle River area that the board's going to look at. The first is taking the Peters Creek boundary, leaving it essentially the same, then moving in to take some number of people to make the numbers work. And the number of people we're taking is based on how many people you need to fill up the Matsu, meaning what is Matsu's negative deviation? It's about 400 or 500 people. What's the Valdez district's negative deviation? It's about 400 or 500 people, which brings us somewhere around 1,000 people that we can take past that Peters Creek boundary into the Matsu without messing up the deviations in those 6 districts.
Okay.
Right? And then figuring out what to do with the problem you've created in the Eagle River, where you've got a District 19 that's overpopulated.
Okay.
And you don't have a really clean place to move those people because you're dealing with the mountains and the base. So option 1 is to just take what's the excess that's left and just split it between the 2 Eagle River districts, creating a slightly higher deviation than you might want in those 2 districts.
So they have a few more people than average.
But it keeps the Eagle River area, I guess, unified, intact. The second option is to basically take a portion of that Eagle River Valley 2 Forks, is that what it's called?
South
Forks area, moving it west, and you try to avoid moving it into something that's purely Muldoon because that,
Right.
hasn't been very well received. So maybe you move it somewhere in the
Who's
Basher
there?
area.
Who's in that?
Well, it depends on what your districts look like in here.
Okay.
But you move it somewhere over here is the point. And what that lets you do is it lets your 2 Eagle River districts have a better deviation.
Right.
But the trade-off is that you're now moving a portion of Eagle River out of Eagle River.
How much deviation difference is there?
1.5%.
As opposed to under 1% in Anchorage?
So Anchorage, the way that we've moved into Anchorage on the north and south end, each district's going to have an average of about a positive 0.7% deviation. And this would bring, the second option that I'm talking about would bring one Eagle River district to like 1.9 and the other to 1.7.
So they essentially would have a little bit less representation because they have more people for the same number of reps.
But they might argue that it'll be more effective representation because
Right.
it's purely Eagle River.
And I mean, that's what I heard in the testimony, that they wanted to be Eagle River.
Right.
And the Muldoon people didn't want to be in Eagle River.
And it's a little, because what we'd seen in other in one of the board's drafts was more of an issue of taking Muldoon people into Eagle River, meaning Eagle River was the overwhelming
Right.
majority of the district, and we had to take some of Muldoon to fill it. This is the opposite problem. We have some Eagle River people that would be joined with Muldoon. I think
Okay.
they would probably be just as opposed to that as
Right.
the Muldoon people would be going to Eagle River. But so those are 2 options. The board will just have to decide
Okay.
what's more acceptable.